Everybody, welcome back to Northernlion Plays The Binding of Isaac Afterbirth Plus. Here we are. Oh, baby, this will be a big one. 20 wins in a row. How about that? We're starting a little weak, but with great stats. JWKN49 Doctor. Doctor, tell me the news. I'd like to win the game and not lose. That's, I have no idea what that song is called or who it's by. But I do know that it says, I got a bad case of loving you. Which I'm now realizing, Doctor, tell me the news, I got a bad case of loving you, is a song not about a man who goes to a doctor because he's in love, but I believe a song about a man who's in love with a doctor. It's kind of, I mean, it's an interesting sort of bend on that song, you know? It's a little bit of a novelty, but still, it's got a hook and a half. Oh, baby! Alright. 7 rate of fire and 7 damage immediately. It's a pretty solid start. This one's looking it's looking gravy, brother. It's looking gravy. Why did I wonder colloquially how we got to that point? You know, that gravy was considered like, because gravy is, you know what? I actually feel like it's kind of an apt and maybe even a perfect metaphor. Most foods that have gravy on them are perfectly acceptable without gravy. The gravy is just an added bonus that makes it that much better. So to use it in the English language as a colloquialism that means a nice bonus is kind of perfect, in my opinion at least. Hold on, I do want to go back and see if mayhaps we might be able to get a bomb somehow and open up that tinted rock. I would even walk into a spike chest to do it. I don't think we can do it though. That's fine. I mean, we don't really have much, maybe the shop, but it's kind of a bad spend early on here. Like, think about it. Poutine is, French fries, gravy, and cheese curds. 99% of French fries consumed worldwide, if not more, are consumed gravyless, would be my expectation. Mostly, you know, where I grew up, it's, I don't know if I'd say it's a regional thing necessarily. Where I grew up, every restaurant offered like gravy as an accoutrement that you could put on your fries. Here in Vancouver, not offered very much at all, quite frankly. But you can still get poutine, of course. But gravy, ooh, what the heck? Gravy itself, it's not enough to make the dish, but it's enough to give you a nice little added bonus, is what I'm trying to say. I think that I'm getting my point across in a reasonable fashion. Say you're a French fry. No, we're getting too far in. Okay, there we go. Was it worth it? Let's say yes to move things along here. We need to buy some spirit hearts. That's my only real concern right now. I'm trying to think of other stuff that's like gravy rich, like a roast beef or a meatloaf or a, you know, a slice of turkey. Don't get me wrong, of all of those, the turkey is the one that most benefits. Hold on, I gotta think this one through, dude. The turkey is the one that most benefits from the gravy. I have eaten, I would say 50% of the Thanksgiving meals I've consumed in my life have been turkey where I opted not to get gravy along with it. And I mean that sincerely. I still enjoy it, but the gravy does add a little certain something extra. There's no doubt about that. But it's still, if that's as bad as it gets, that's not bad at all. IKEA meatballs and gravy. Oh, now we're talking a little Côte de Boulard. I don't know what the cream sauce is called. Probably like a cromfisk. Oh, now we're talking. If I have to take Laz Rags, I will take Laz Rags. You know what I always thought was interesting? You know in the movie The Big Lebowski, when the Swedish kidnappers, if you haven't seen the movie, it's a sentence that makes sense even though it may sound like it doesn't. When the Swedish kidnappers go to the diner, they all order lingonberry pancakes. I enjoy a good lingonberry. In a juice context, or you know, I mean, even in a pancake context, I suppose, in a sauce context. But in America, how many places could you get a lingonberry pancake? I know that there is a robust Scandinavian diaspora in like Minnesota and the Dakotas, but I still question the ability of you to be able to get a lingonberry-based dish at an American diner. But in their own way, I assume that the Coen brothers would have essentially dealt with that problem internally, and then it just adds to kind of like the dreamlike state of the movie to begin with. Perhaps is my treatise and diatribe. Just give me a little bit of money, like I just. Oh baby, they've done it. Hey, it's slightly better, but we'd still probably look for another reroll. We have enough HP. We're really trying to milk everything out of the early part of this run that we can. We have enough HP that I think that's your play, and we got nothing out of it. So I would say you probably just stick with Mr. Boom, and we'll check for a second secret room, and the second secret room has a demon heart, and it all comes full circle. I think it's an upgrade. Anyway, that's my thoughts on the 1997-1998 film The Big Lebowski. Actually, so I've seen The Big Lebowski. I don't know. I'm not one of those guys who's like super into The Big Lebowski, but I've seen it probably like 3 or 4 times. I like it. But originally, I bowled in a league like for kids when I was a kid, not as an adult. Although it would be nice to feel what it feels like to win for once. That's probably not even true. I would probably get smoked by some 12-year-old kid whose dad owns the bowling lanes. But I could at least come in second. I had like a 160-something average as a 12-year-old. Anyway, I'm not bragging, you know, I'm living past glory. We'll take this. We managed to sneak into the room so we didn't, well, we were still in our invis frame, so we didn't take any more damage than was strictly necessary. But originally, so like I was into bowling. That movie came out, and, you know, back in the day, pre-internet, if you didn't know somebody who was, like, running in the film circles, you know, somebody who was like, oh, you should really watch Tokyo Story. It's one of the most classic films of the, you know, latter half of the 20th century. You basically just looked at, like, the movie cover at Jumbo Video or Blockbuster, and then you looked at, like, the back of the box to figure out what it was about, and, you know, I'm sure my parents were like, oh, little movie about bowling. Our son likes bowling. And then, it's also got Jeff Bridges in it. We like him. He's been in a lot of stuff. John Goodman, I love that guy. And who's that weird-looking guy? Yeah, you know, from Con Air. We like that guy, too. They rented it, and I was 9 or 10 years old. And I remember, you know, within the first 10 minutes, they start, like, feeding Jeff Bridges his own ceramic toilet. That was right about the time that my parents were like, I don't know if you should watch this one. And I was like, one step ahead of you. This is the most boring thing I've ever seen in my whole life. And I just left. Not the house, but to my room. Alright, that was actually a really, really good get here. Speed down is always a little annoying, but we got more than disproportionate positives in the other directions here. Very nice. I mean, this run is off to the races. Ain't no doubt about it. Having golden bombs is very nice. We probably don't need to eke out every available advantage, but for the time being, we might as well give it a try. Here, you know, examine all these special rooms. I'll tell you, I don't see that many movies with my parents these days because we live, you know, 3,500 kilometers apart. But even, like, as an adult, if maybe you're watching this and you're a little bit on the younger side, you might have a question that I would have had when I was a child. Does there reach a point where you're no longer awkward when you watch a movie that has a lovemaking scene when you're watching the movie with your parents? The answer is it never changes. It remains awkward. It's not awkward in the same way. Because I think when I was, you know, like in my early teenage years and there was a movie with an intimate scene like that, in my head I was like, oh no. First off, a little awkward just on a basic level, but secondly, due to the context, I wonder if my parents are thinking in their head like, oh, I bet he's enjoying this, right? It was like a little bit of self-consciousness. But then, as you get older, it doesn't normalize. You just sort of learn to live with it. Like if I watch a movie now with my parents and there's an intimate scene, the only reason it's really weird, you know, I mean, I'm their child, so it's nothing they haven't seen before. And not to be crass, but we're having a child, so I'm familiar with the kinematics of the situation. You know, it's not like we're watching a nature documentary and they're showing us stuff we ain't ever, you know, seen. However, it's more like, because when you watch a movie with your parents, not at the theater, but like at home, in the, when you're in your late 20s or 30s, it's more like you have conversations throughout the movie. You'll be like 45 minutes through the movie, and then your mom will just, or my mom at least, will turn to me and be like, hey, whatever happened to this kid that you, he sat beside you in 6th grade, you know, and his mom was the esthetician? And I'm like, oh, Tyler. Yeah, I don't know, I haven't talked to him since probably the last time that you saw him, in the year 2001. But, yeah, I don't know. You just, and then moments after that, you know, you get into the scene, and, do your parents, if you watch films with them, if you watch cinema with them, do they have a line that they use when there's a scene like that to break the tension? My dad's go-to line is person's name, don't look. He uses it every single time. I laugh every single time because I think it's funny. The person's name that he uses depends. Sometimes it'll be me, because, you know, we're comfortable joking around. He'll be like, Ryan, don't look. You shouldn't watch this till you're older. And I go, ha, ha, ha. But sometimes, you know, it would be like, if the cat is around, it's the same item. He'll be like, Lefty, don't look. And I don't know, that's when it really goes from being like an 8 out of 10 to a 10 out of 10. That's where I'm like, this is comedic genius. Because the cat doesn't know what he's talking about to begin with. The cat doesn't know what's... Anyway, you get the joke probably. It's a little cerebral, I'll admit. Anyway, we're pressing onwards here. Everything's going A-okay. This run is... I mean, you couldn't ask for much of a stronger win number 20 attempt here. Everything is absolutely set. We got a lot of HP. We got... good stats. We're rolling at an incredible pace. We're fighting bosses that are not that difficult to begin with. We got a lot of consumables. We got an Emperor card. I mean, this thing's it's all coming together. At this point, I would probably just push onwards. You know what's annoying me, dude? I'm gonna go off, alright? I'm gonna revolutionize the film business right now. Why? You see, like that panic bomb in there was pretty hilarious. When lockdown first started, and studios opted not to release their films direct to like digital distribution, video on demand, etc., etc., I understood, because you're kind of, you know, it's a black swan event, kind of. You're just waiting around in the hopes that maybe it'll resolve in a few months, and then you can get back to your normal stuff. It's clear that this is kind of a new normal situation for us for the time being. Things are, depending on where you live in the world, they're opening up, but simultaneously they're also closing back up, and, you know, it seems like that kind of like, depending on the way that your public health outreach is set up, that seems like it may become the norm. You know, things will open back up for 3 months, then it'll become a hotspot, then you'll close it for another 3 months. It's no way to conduct reliable business, right? Now that every single... And here's the thing. I'm not annoyed, really, when Christopher Nolan and DC films and, you know, the new Wonder Woman movie, I understand why these are being delayed. It makes perfect sense to me. They're, you know, multi-$100-million projects. If you got to sit on it for a year to make another, you know, $300 or $400 million, it is what it is, right? Like, that's the reality of the business. What I'm very annoyed with is that people are at home starving for stuff to watch. People are watching Space Force, for God's sakes. so they'll watch anything right now. I haven't seen it. But you got all these like little genre films that are being delayed. Like the new Halloween movie got delayed. And it was I can't imagine that it was supposed to not come out around Halloween. But I guess they're going to push it maybe to Halloween 2021. I really feel like you're cowards. Let me just say it. I think you're missing out on oh, let's go. I think you're missing out on like a once in an industry maybe opportunity where people are at home and they're, well, largely at home at least, and they're looking for stuff to watch. They can't go out to the movies. You could temporarily redefine the movie-going experience to be video on demand stuff. And the other thing that's annoying to me is, like, you know, I'm not like a movie business expert. You know, I know less than Blumhouse, who's producing some of this stuff. But I am like, it's not like Halloween 2 was going to make $135 million at the box office. I saw Halloween 2018, was it? I saw Halloween 2018 in theaters. It was fun. I had a fun time watching the movie. Hold on. Oh yeah, we already knew it was Book of Sin. Fair enough. But how much did it make at the box office? You know what? This is where let me just pull this out here. Halloween 2018 box office. Okay, you know what? Okay, you know, it made $255 million USD, so I don't know what I'm talking about. Now that look, I will never suggest that I don't have bad takes. All I can endeavor to do is recognize the bad takes when I get evidence that clearly points to the contrary, and you know, I'm not gonna double down and dig my heels in. It's a bad take. I really thought that movie made like 80 mil. I still think there's a nugget of potential truth, or at least good intention in what I was saying, which is, you know, release your smaller projects, release them on video on demand. You know, your Chris Nolans and your etceteras, I understand. You want to, you know, push those to the summer when, you know, statistically speaking, they're probably going to make, like, you know, double the money that they otherwise would. However, if you got like a little risky Fox Searchlight sort of thing, I think now's the time to release it and try to create some buzz around it. Like, let me tell you, if the movies were back, I definitely would not have watched Hamilton. And that's not to say that it is not a great, I mean, I don't even want to get into the discourse. I really liked it. But, it just, I would have been like, yeah, but instead of, you know, 2 hours and 40 minutes for Hamilton, we could have gone to the theater and watched something that's bad instead. But we could have eaten popcorn at least. So, like, you know, I see this, and admittedly, it's easier to talk the talk than walk the walk, but I see this as, like, a unique opportunity for these businesses. Obviously, there's a lot of negatives associated with it as well. Like, let me put it this way. If you run a movie theater chain, oof. Like, if anybody watching this is, like, the CEO of Landmark Cinemas, you have my sympathy, because, you know, what are you supposed to do? It's not like you could have really prepared for this. Are you going to give everybody their own private movie theater? That might be overly reductionist, but you get what I mean. You know, it's hard, but the studios that have already made the films and are sitting on them, look, I don't expect the big budget tent poles to be released. Sure, why not? But some of the C to A minus tier stuff, come on. Come on. It's, you know, it's our new normal for the time being. I'm not saying you have, it's tough because I've been holding this dang Emperor card for so long. But AWAS is technically a little stronger here for allowing us to get one item from Boss Rush. That's my 2 cents. And again, it's easy for me to say because I don't have skin in the game. You know, I didn't finance this, you know, Zach Braff's new romantic comedy. It was actually kind of worth it. I didn't finance Zach Braff's new romantic comedy for $22 million. And, you know, I also don't know what movies are making, you know, in VOD money. What I do know is a movie I would never have paid 20 bucks, or, well, I guess, like, you know, 12 bucks times 2 to see at the theater. I would pay 10 bucks to watch it online. And I know we're getting a little controversial here, but we've talked about it on the show, on the NLSS in the past. I am now at the point where I actually would pay, and there's no economic reason for this beyond convenience, but I would pay the same amount of money to watch a movie on demand the day it came out in theaters from the comfort of my home that I would pay to go see it in theaters. There's obvious knocks. I don't have a Dolby Atmos sound system with speakers all around. I don't have, you know, a 90-foot screen. I don't even know how big a movie theater screen is. 90 foot might be a little bit of a underestimate, quite frankly. However, my home has advantages that the movie theater does not either. For one, all the food in my house is already paid for. I can eat whatever I want. 2, I got the best seat in the house. 3, if the volume's too loud, I can turn it down. 4, I like watching things with subtitles on, but a subset of the North American audience will never allow a movie theater to have subtitles on the big screen unless it's a foreign movie. Because they're like, what the heck, I thought this was a dang old movie, not school. I can pause it at will, which people get very upset at the theater if you ask for that. And then, like, even beyond that, don't get me wrong, I like the experience of going to the movies. I like the trailers. Can you believe, by the way, that, like, maybe if you're a little bit younger than me, you weren't a part of this, but, you know, there used to be a time at the movies, until I was like 11 or 12, where the only ads that played before the movie were trailers, and people got annoyed by the trailers. They were like, I paid for the movie, why am I being advertised to? Well, you know, around the year 2000, maybe, at least in Canada, we started getting non-stop advertisements for Coca-Cola, Toyota, every major auto manufacturer, basically. And now you got, like, I don't know if anybody else feels this. I always like the trailers, but now it's like 10 minutes of ads that you've seen 30 times before, and then when the trailers start, you're like, finally, the real show begins. The reason I like the trailers so much is it gives you an opportunity to be a gambling individual. One thing I like to do when I see a trailer is gauge, you know, is this going to be good or is it going to be trash? And it's not even so that, like, I choose whether or not to see it. It's really just to see if I still got it. It's to see my degree of media literacy. Because I think you can... So there's some that are tricky, you know? I know that this is a movie... I'm focusing, okay? Don't worry. I know this is a movie that's divisive. I've been tricked in the past. I really feel like by sci-fi horror standards, the Prometheus trailer is one of the best trailers I've ever seen. And the movie itself is, at the very least, uneven. I don't think there are many people that are like, this is a masterpiece. Let's put it that way. Whether you hate it as... okay, maybe not focused. Whether you hate it as much as I do is a matter of personal, you know, preference. But for the most part, I think you can tell. There's a broad spectrum of things that go into it. One would be, look at the production company. If you're familiar with the production companies, then you can be like, you know. The other thing is, you look at the pedigree. If they say, from the director of great movie, you got to run it through your processor a little bit, because it really depends. If they're like, from the director of great movie, and the great movie came out in like 1991, then you go, That was like, he's done 10 movies since then, and you're still going back to this 1990s jam, right? That's cause for skepticism. Barry Levinson. Hold on. We will take Incubus. I don't think... I just don't feel comfortable taking Contract from Below right now. Everything should be fine, but it is slightly scarier than I wanted it to be. Let's look for a second secret room. Oh, we already found it. Let's go to the regular secret room. Then, from the writers of... Okay, now that's not as meaningful. They don't have as much steering of the ship, because there's not one writer for most movies. You know, there's a team of writers, so you never know. You know, from the writer of The Hangover, you're like, okay, what jokes did you write specifically? Because they aren't all created equal in that one. From the producer of... Now you're into, like, that's a meaningless sentence territory. Producers, you know, at least to my degree of understanding, producers run the gamut. Some producers are intimately involved in every detail of a film, both creatively and operationally, and some producers sign like a $5 million check and are hands off. Now, but the number one thing you have to watch out for is a sentence that looks like this. From the twisted minds that brought you, that's where you should, let's not. That's where you should turn and run in the opposite direction as quickly as possible. If you ever see anything billed as, you know, from the madcap geniuses that brought you date movie, that's where it's time for you to be like, you got nothing. Because you're not even giving me, what do you mean they brought it to me? Like are they caterers? Are they the key grips? I don't know. Doesn't even make any sense. There's other things you can look for too, but I really, like, there's advantages to the video on demand model that I really think you shouldn't have to pay the price of 2 movie tickets to buy it at home, or 1 movie ticket to buy it at home, even for that matter. But you know, for us, it's not like we have a movie theater that's in, you know, super close proximity. We gotta drive or take the train, which incurs a little bit of a cost itself. We gotta park, and usually you're gonna end up paying for parking, and you're like, what? Yeah, it's a city thing. It's a city tax. We prefer, well, you know what? We could use the world card right away, and then save Perthrow for the next little moment here. Can live with that. Oh, baby. Why doesn't the movie theater have free parking? I don't know, because like a parking lot in downtown Vancouver, for example, that had the ability to fit the 300 or 1,000 cars necessary to supplement the movie theater would cost like $700 million to buy, I guess. So instead, like, somebody built a parking lot there in 1983 and they just charge you like $4 an hour to park there. Anyway, so you got all the, and again, this is, you know, you might say, well, that explains it. Yeah, we got different situations, you know, that explain it. If you live close to one of those sweet movie theaters that are, oh, your filet mignon, sir? Warmed up in our convection microwave, and you can relax in your lazy boy while you watch Trolls 2, then by all means. We ain't got that. We ain't got that kind of luxury. We don't even have free parking. I think we re-roll them all. Very nice. Good enough. Good enough. Pardon me. And I think this does... it seems pretty good. Sorry, I got the dry throat all of a sudden. Really should have had a glass of water before I started recording this one, but that's okay. Don't hit me again. Don't hit me again. We got very good DPS. I am admittedly slightly nervous about this run. The more HP we get on the ground, the better. Because our DPS is super high. We can really melt enemies down quickly. We're not going to take more than a couple of hits on any given room, which gives us the ability to grab red hearts and replenish our health in between rooms. But Still a certain degree of danger associated with this one, just due to our lack of HP. And the reason we got a lack of HP is because we had a lack of focus in the mid-game. We were too busy focused on the Zane. And that's okay. Had a fun time with it regardless. Oh, we're going to be completely fine. Alright. Solid run for the time being. Keep it moving. Get yourself some flies. Oh, it's over. Alright, so, you know, just a little spice injection. It's got a top note of habanero. But we made it through just fine for now. Thanks for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, click the like button. Helps out a great deal. Of course, subscribe if you want to see more in the future. For now, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. See ya!